Hello and welcome back to the Fit40 Podcast, where we simplify exercise and nutrition for busy parents 40 plus so they can improve their health and feel amazing. I'm your host, Brian Fitzsimmons, and today we're going to be talking about how to burn 12 pounds of fat in 12 weeks. But before we do, make sure that you're following or you are subscribed wherever you're watching or listening so you don't miss another episode. Now, let's dive in. Okay. This is the time of the year where people start to crank up the intensity when it comes to their diet, when it comes to their nutrition, or diet and nutrition, their diet and exercise, because vacations are right around the corner, or certain trips or events and things like that, because it's almost summertime, which I don't like to be one of those people that's like, let's get shredded for the summer. But let's be honest. I mean, it is kind of a big motivator for a lot of people to get in the shape that they want to, so that they're feeling a little bit better in their bathing suit. They feel a little bit better taking pictures and wearing shorts and stuff like that. So instead of fighting it, let's embrace it. I'll give you guys a concrete plan to follow so that you can get those results that you want. You can start seeing the results immediately if you follow this plan. All right. So let's start with number one, exercise. Okay. Exercise is a great way to begin because it gets the ball rolling. It gives you those quick hits of instant gratification, lifting heavier weights, feeling more energized, feeling better. Like you're not as tired doing the same workout multiple times. Like after that third or fourth, you're like, okay, my body's kind of catching up here. So exercise is a great way to start. Now, ideally, we want to double down on strength training because that, if we got our nutrition right, will allow us to burn the most fat possible, because when you're maintaining or building muscle while in a calorie deficit, what's left to lose? Body fat. Okay. So if you're losing, say, 5 pounds, but you're going up in your weights, you're going up in repetitions, and you're able to do more, your body is adapting, building thicker bones, building more muscle, but that 5 pounds is gone. It's like, what was that? Mostly body fat. Okay. Probably some fluid in there too, but mostly body fat. And that's the name of the game. We want to reduce our body fat, get our muscle up so that way we have a more favorable body composition, which helps us in so many different ways. But if we're thinking vanity's sake, then it'll help us get the shape that we want. If we're thinking overall health, it can help with a multitude of different things. Big one being like insulin resistance, for example. Next, when it comes to the plan, is step goal, like maintaining, or sorry, let me backtrack. When it comes to strength training, 2 to 4 times a week. We don't need to go crazy on it. 2 to 4 times is more than enough for the average person over 40 who has a stressful life, who's got a lot going on, but still wants to see good results and not overdo it. 2 to 4, perfect. Next is step goal. When it comes to your step goal, there's a lot of hype around 10K a day, which is a great goal. Don't get me wrong. It's great if you can hit 10K a day. But when it comes to the drastic amount of improvements that you see when it comes to reducing risk for all-cause mortality, blood markers, and other things like that, they usually not plateau, but they significantly decrease in effectiveness around 8K steps. So you don't need to go crazy on it, but 8K would be a great goal. Now, let's say 8K is too much. 5K is plenty. And let's say you're super sedentary and you barely move at all. 2.6K is like the number in the research where they start to see drastic improvements in those factors that I just talked about. So just getting more steps is the name of the game, and not going so overboard that you're causing extra fatigue. So when we're getting into that like 15 to 20K step range and your body isn't ready for that, we don't want to go too crazy on that end as well, because we don't want to get into this mindset of we're going to work as hard as we possibly can to get to that point that we need to for vacation or whatever. And then once we're there, the wheels are going to fall off because we don't care anymore. Okay? We want to start building sustainable habits so you don't have to do this this time next year. All right. So the name of the game is finding the right amount, not the most amount. And it's also going to get you better results too, because overworking yourself can have negative effects and cause you to hold on to body fat. So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot by doing too much as well. Okay. You want to get the right amount, which is the third point that I have here under exercise, which is balancing your stress. Okay. If you are a person who lives a very stressful life, you physically cannot handle the workload that somebody who does not have those same stressors can handle. Prime example is like a 20-year-old that you see on Instagram that lives by themselves. Their parents are paying their rent and they're preaching into the camera. Everybody has the same 24 hours in the day, and they have next to no stress. They've got an entry level job that doesn't require much of them, and they're just doing whatever. Meanwhile, you're a mom who's over 40, who's got 3 kids that disrupt your sleep. You're working a full-time job. Your husband's driving you nuts. The pets are constantly doing something to annoy you. There's a million stressors going on. Oh, and on top of that, maybe you're also taking care of your parents as well. So you've got all these different stressors going on. And now we're trying to add in exercising like crazy every single day, getting a crazy high step count, and we're pushing that stress way, 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 way too far. You need to find the balance, and everybody's going to be a little bit different. So it takes a little trial and error in figuring out what works best for you. Okay. Number 2 is your nutrition. Okay. We got our exercise going. Now let's get our nutrition going. Okay. Really good way to start when it comes to nutrition is focusing on quality first, because when you get your quality on point, then when you have to reduce the quantity, it makes it so much easier than doing the flip of that. Because a lot of times people jump into a calorie deficit or they do their macros and they have no idea how to get any lean protein in, any fiber, any veggies or fruits and things like that. And they're left feeling so miserable. They're left feeling so low energy, and they have nothing to give when it comes time for their workouts. They're starving all the time. So the food noise is cranked up to 11, which makes sticking to their calories borderline impossible. So start with that quality. First, get some protein on the plate, get some fiber on there, get some micronutrients with those fruits and veggies. Okay. That's the PFC system that you hear me talking about all the time when we talk about the Fit40 program. Okay, that's why we always start there, because it's a great, great way to begin this. Then once you've gotten to the point where, okay, we're eating mostly lean protein, not these super fatty cuts. When we have carbohydrates, they usually have fiber in them. There's always a fruit or vegetable on the plate. And when it comes to our fats too, making sure that they're mostly unsaturated fats, like the monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, the MUFAs and PUFAs, if you want to be funny about it. Okay, those should make up the majority of our meals. And then when we eat these indulgences, it's like 20% of the time rather than 80% of the time. And then when we've hit that point, then we can say, okay, you know what? My diet is rock solid. Can you tell it's been a long day? When your diet is rock solid, almost messed it up again. Then you can control for things like calories and macros. And that's where you fine tune it, because now you're like, okay, I'm eating all this protein, I'm eating all this fiber, I'm feeling really full, I'm feeling really good. As the calories come down, it's not as crazy. It's not feeling as miserable because I'm checking off all these boxes that I didn't have checked off before. So now, especially in the beginning of a caloric deficit, it's very common to feel really, really full on protein and fiber and still lose body fat and still lose weight. I've seen this happen a lot with the clients in that first, we'll call it like the first like 90 days is where they're like, I physically cannot eat more protein or more fiber. And we just see the inches and the weight just drop like crazy. And I'm like, hey, not too bad of a deal feeling super full and dropping weight. And they're like, hell no, I'm good with this. So that can happen. And then along with that, we want to make sure that we are tracking and being consistent with it. Okay. Because a lot of the times people do jump into calorie deficits and tracking their macros and all this stuff, and they're just not consistent with it. So it's, oh, I do it Monday through Friday, and then happy hour hits. And then, well, I didn't want to track that because I couldn't get an accurate number because we're out at a restaurant and I couldn't find it in the tracker. So I didn't put it in. And then the whole day was kind of a wash. And then the next day I wasn't feeling that great. And so I skipped breakfast, and then I ate like crazy at lunchtime. So I didn't track that. And it becomes this spiral. And for anybody that's like, wow, how did you know that's exactly what I do? We've all been there. It happens to the best of us. But you got to figure out how to stay consistent and not have that happen. Because when you can get to the place where you are tracking 7 days a week, or on and off week, maybe 6 out of 7 days, that puts you in a position where you're like, okay, now I have reliable data. I understand what my body is doing with these calories, with these macros, and I can adjust and make sure that I'm going at a rate that is ideal. And if you're wondering what a good rate of loss is, ideally about 1 pound per week. But honestly, in the beginning, especially if you're new to strength training, you might not see the scale budge at all, but you will see inches drop. And that means you're burning fat. And that's why the name of this podcast episode is losing 12 pounds of fat, not 12 pounds of weight, because weight could be good or bad weight. Okay. We want to lose body fat because that helps us get a better body composition, which helps us lead a healthier life. And that is the name of the game. But I did what I said I didn't want to do, and I went down a rabbit hole, but I digress. We're back. Okay. We want to make sure we're consistent with our tracking. Otherwise, what the heck are we even tracking for? Okay. Now, those are really the big two. The big two that we want to nail, and that should get us the results that we want. But there's a couple of problems that come with this. Okay. Number one, when it comes to exercise, like we touched on with the stressors, you can easily do too much or too little. A lot of people do fall into that category of doing too little. So doing a little too much might not be the worst thing in the world, but you got to level it out so that way we don't have things like hormonal issues come up, sleep disturbances, mood regulation issues, emotional eating. Stuff like this can stem from doing too much exercise and doing too little on the recovery side of things as well. And then when it comes to I lost my place here. There we go. Nutrition. Okay. When it comes to nutrition, one of the big issues is that inconsistency, like we talked about, and just too much noise in general from social media saying you got to do this, you got to do that, which leads to over restriction, cutting out entire food groups, doing fasting. And that very well could be one of the worst things for you, depending on how you respond to it individually. But you're forcing yourself into this way of doing things where it's kind of like a square peg in a round hole situation. It's just not right for you. And along with that, the more food rules that you add, the more under threat you're going to feel. And anybody who is in the Fit40 family and heard me talk about this when I talked about the talk that I saw in Las Vegas with Jeb Stuart Johnson, who is going to be coming on the podcast soon. He talked about the whole concept of feeling unsafe. And that's what these food rules do. They tell you, do this, do that, do that. And then it's like, you kind of feel a little bit unsafe, like you can't trust yourself. You're not in a position where you're in control. These rules dictate your life, and we don't want that to happen. We want you to feel empowered and feel like you're in control of the situation and you have autonomy. That's the goal. You don't want to ever be in a position where you feel like you're a victim to your diet. And then along with exercise and nutrition issues, there's life. You get busy, you get sick, there's vacation. Like you might have multiple vacations you're trying to get ready for. Will that one completely throw off your entire summer? You need to stay on track long enough to get the results that you want. Which is why right now, since this is coming out on Thursday, you still have about 48 hours to apply. I'm running the Fit40 Mother's Day Scholarship for 12 weeks of free coaching. So this times out perfect. If you want to burn 12 pounds of fat in 12 weeks, you could do that along with me for free. All you have to do is apply, and I'm going to pick one grand prize winner and give out a handful of partial scholarships as well. So if you want to do this with actual professional level structure, support, and accountability, this is the time to do it. So don't waste any time. Don't procrastinate. And I'll tell you right now, if I'm between a couple of people that I think deserve it, I'm always going to pick the person that applied first. So get your application in ASAP if you know that you need this. Okay. It's going to be down in the show notes or the description, wherever you are watching or listening. Click away. The application is literally 5 quick questions. So takes less than a minute. Go do it now. And I will see you next time on the next episode of the Fit40 podcast. But until then, go kick some ass. Later.